Alright, here's lesson 5. If you didn't understand this from lesson 4, you need to go back. Don't move on without getting this stuff. It's kind of like the progression of crawling to, well, I guess rolling over to sitting to crawling to walking to running to gymnastics, right? Alright, we're going to talk about intervals. And I'm going to have some notes on here. I like notes. Then I have a keyboard underneath the notepad, so, you know, I can show you things after I talk about them. So, intervals. 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 It's just a fancy word for the distance between notes. And we use intervals to build chords. And we also use intervals. I know I use intervals when I'm listening to songs to try to figure out how to play them. There are 12 intervals because there are 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 notes, 12 intervals. It's not too hard. 0, meaning 0 half steps. Make a chart. I like charts. 0 half steps is what we call a unison. And who really cares, because that is just like, there has to be a name for it, but you're not really, unless you're like arranging music for band or something, you really don't need to, you really don't need to even know that term for piano, but I'm going to just go ahead and tell you, just so you know. Because really, you can't play this note unless you're playing a duet and somebody else has another piano. You can't both play middle C. It's just, it is what it is. In order to play unison, you have to have 2 people playing the same note. Alright, half steps. 1 half step. I'm going to actually just number this. 2, there's 12. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Some people might be familiar with the word octave. Okay. That just means you're going from C to C. So maybe you're on the middle C. And it's 12 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? And when we're counting these half steps, we don't count the note that we start on. We count that as 0. So, like I said, unison was 0 half steps. 0. Okay? So we're basically going to find out what we call these distances. Like, what is the distance between C and C sharp? What is the distance between C and D? All the way up. Oh, no. I'm going to have to get the acetone out later. Alright. So, these are actually specific intervals. After we go over specific intervals, I'll go over generic intervals. 1 half step. 1 half step is what they call a minor second. Yeah, I'll just do that. 2 half steps, or I guess you could call it a whole step. I just count it. I do the half step method because it's just easier for me. I don't know. I mean, you could say this is a step and a half, or 2 whole steps, or that just gets really confusing after a while. Why make it harder? Major second is 2 half steps. This is a pretty important interval, and this one is too. 3 half steps, minor third. 4 half steps is a major third. Okay, probably should tell you that these 2 intervals are what they call perfect. We'll get on why they call them perfect intervals later. We'll talk about that when we talk about inversions and flipping intervals. Perfect. We might get to that at the end of this video. Octaves are perfect. Unisons are perfect. And this 5 half steps apart is a perfect interval, and they call it a perfect fourth. This one is what they call a tritone, or an augmented fourth, or diminished fifth. It's also sometimes referred to non-academically as the devil's interval. From my understanding, the churches avoided this interval, and a lot of people avoided this interval because it's really strange and it's kind of tough to sing. So 6 half steps, you can either call it an augmented fourth, diminished fifth, or tritone. Or the devil's interval. Seven half steps is a perfect fifth. Eight half steps is a minor sixth. Major sixth is 9 half steps. Minor seventh. And major seventh is 11. There are only 12, okay? There's only 12. Don't panic. It's really easy to remember. If you look at it real close, obviously 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's all in numerical order. Seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths. There's a major, minor version of seconds, thirds, sixths, sevenths. Okay? If you can just remember that. There's a perfect version of unison, which, I mean, you could call it P1, perfect unison. Perfect fourth, perfect fifth, and perfect octave. And I'm going to actually call it perfect P8. 8 is generally the number associated with octaves. So those are the perfect intervals. And then you got the weird guy in the middle, the tritone. Okay, so if you kind of categorize them into 3 different groups, that might help. As far as generic and specific intervals. These are actually specific. It's the second, but we call it a minor second. The reason being is when it shows up on staff, this is C, and maybe we have D flat. Well, they're 2 notes apart, so it's a second. C and D is a second regardless. You could have, I need more staff. Maybe I could hire somebody. Maybe you have C and D and it's just regular old D. It's just D natural. Well, they're both seconds. But this is a major second because this note's not flat and this note's, you know, they're both natural notes, so it's major second. It's 2 half steps apart. They're both natural notes. So they're 2 half steps. 1, 2. So that would be a major second. Whereas this one, C to D flat, it's a second. The notes are, you know, a second apart on the staff. We call it a minor second because they're only 1 half step. This is 2 half steps. And this is 1 half step. So we'll call it minor. So, I should probably turn that up. Okay, so that's intervals. Here's another thing for you to memorize. See these stars? This is very important that you know what a minor third and a major third is, because the next video is going to be on how to build chords. Finally, we're going to get to that. Took me long enough. So, just to double check your, hopefully you wrote it down, check your chart. Make sure you've at least got the 3 half steps, the 4 half steps. The difference there is, you know, count up 3, 1, 2, 3, and you get that. Well, you know, you could count up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a major third, minor third. You use major thirds and minor thirds to build chords. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so be very familiar with major and minor third. I did want you to know the other ones because somewhere down the road it's going to be useful to know all the other stuff. I just want to go over it. Good fundamentals, good solid theory, good solid work. So learn that. Easier said than done. Memorize it. Go through it. Just kind of play through them. Just kind of, oh, this is a minor second. This is a major second. This is a minor third. Major third. Perfect fourth. Which is that weird one. What is it? West Side Story? Maria. Or the Jetsons. Meet George Jetson. Da-da, da-da. It's kind of tricky to sing. Perfect fifth. Minor sixth. Major sixth. Minor seventh. Major seventh. And octave. Okay? Intervals. Just kind of go over and repeat.